Hello and welcome to Soul Love with Kimness. I am Kim van der Zanden, your host, and I'm super excited to share another episode of Soul Love with you, where we share inspirational and empowering stories from the heart. We talk about the beauty and the shadows as both are part of the ascension journey, to remind you that you are powerful, you are magical, and to have trust in what you feel to be true deep within. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Before we start the next Soul Love conversation, I want to invite you to check out my amazing book, Activating the Flower of Love, a sacred guide for manifesting your deepest desires and highest calling. This sacred book, filled with powerful tools and activations, will guide you to open your heart to the beauty and wisdom within you, empowering you to create the life you deeply desire from the foundation of love. You can find Activating the Flower of Love in all the major online and offline bookstores in ebook or paperback, or you can check it out through my website, kimness.nl, where you can also discover the different ways of working with me and the latest updates on new starting programs. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Soul Love, and today I have the honor to share yet again a beautiful conversation with my beautiful soul sister Rachel Hardy. Welcome within this sacred space.
Thank you so much, Kim. I am so happy to be here again and be with you and be chatting with you and all your audience.
It's really amazing to share a conversation again and to connect, and you have been up to beautiful things, and that's also why I thought it's beautiful to share in Soul Love as well, as you've been connecting to astrology and you've been on this journey for a while, but you are launching a new offering, and I was wondering how astrology, how you came on that journey and how it influenced your life, and because there are so many, I've just seen the edges of what is possible, but how is it supporting you in this journey as we are going through this rapid change of time, and how can it support the anchoring of our light and of our magic? And a lot of questions in one, but
I love it. Let's bring all the questions and let's jump in.
Opening the field so that it can all come in divine alignment.
I have lots of answers coming through. Let's see what comes out.
I love it.
So my journey with astrology actually started back when I was a teenager, so quite some time ago.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It was an interesting journey because I actually grew up in a very religious environment in a world that did not look favorably on things like astrology. And I had simultaneously this very strong pull to this archetypal mythical language that was so clearly pouring energy through. And at the same time, I had a belief that this was wrong. And I was on a very spiritual path from a very, very young age. And I was very devoted to my path. And that was my first priority. So the holding of these two realities, and of course there was much more to it, was ginormous. And very long story short, I went through a long journey of untangling and unpiecing everything I believed and coming into my own connection of what is true, my own connection with what we call God, that is different from some of what I was taught, but also is the same. So all that to say, that was my rocky introduction, if you will, with this astrology world. And again, there was something that spoke to me so strongly. It came through deeper than everything in my world that told me otherwise. And there was this language of energy that's bigger than words, is the best way I can say it. And that was one of the things that has always pulled me to this way of working, is the way that myth and symbol and archetype can transmit energy and energy patterns that are more than we can put into words, which of course makes it funny to try to talk about, but
Yes.
That's what we do as humans. We do our best to put words around things that are bigger than our understanding.
Yes.
And there is an energy and a language to astrology that does that in a way that, to go back to my teen years, dealing with clinical depression, with chronic health issues, with a lot of trauma, with all the things, that there was a way that things would feel so instantly clarified and shifted by recognizing and seeing myself or a current pattern that was happening reflected back to me, and be able to go at a very deep heart level. Oh yeah, that's what's happening. All is okay.
Yeah. But it's interesting that you have shared so many beautiful things, but like, to come back to that point as well, it's interesting how we can sometimes be also more compassionate to ourselves or more loving when our mind understands why certain patterns happen, or instead of like beating ourselves like, okay, you're doing it wrong, but understanding the greater purpose of sometimes going through certain initiations to teach us something or to go deeper within ourselves. And what I love about astrology as well, if you look at from this broader perspective, it's like, for me, it always are, and I don't know a lot about astrology, so only the very basis, but it feels almost, I share sometimes also within in the programs, it's like it feels like my soul has left me a blueprint and like codes. And when I start to unravel these codes, and when I start to understand, because we are a human being, we are not only energy, we are also, our mind also likes to understand. And that brings ease, because then suddenly when you start to unravel, like your birthday, and like, but it goes much further. But these are all codes. It's like a roadmap. And when you start to find the codes that your soul in higher spheres has left you to remember, because in the end, it is a journey to remembering. And that's what I love in the way you approach it and you offer it into the world. You really make the connection to how do you use it in your life? How do you embody it? And how it's not only knowing, because there's so much energy coming through. Those are transmissions when you connect to these blueprints of yourself. And it is understanding with our bodies, but also knowing, and like that our mind also likes, because then it doesn't go into fight, flight, freeze, and all these other things we can go into. If our mind understands it, it can go with these new ways of being. And so I think it's beautiful.
Totally. Yes. Oh my gosh, you've said so much good stuff right there. And that's exactly it. When the mind can understand and can get the codes and can get the bigger patterns, and then can connect it to the body and can connect it to the physical experience, moving through time, as me, Rachel, in this lifetime, in this world, like that's where it's at. That's where we want to bring in what's coming through and be able to put it into practice in our bodies, in our daily lives.
And I think that's the, like, as we raise our vibration, we are receiving so much in energy, but it's also like, yes, we are these vessels, and yes, we are here to anchor these higher vibrational codes, but also how practical, how can we use them, and what does it mean? So I love that, because otherwise it only stays in these ethereal realms. And now we're being invited, because that is like, it's your journey is called embodiment as well, but we are being called in this time and space to really embody our light, to really anchor who we are in our essence. And that is bringing it into the tangible, bringing it into also the physical understanding, in our emotions, in our feelings, in really going into the grounding, the dirt of the earth. But also sometimes I don't know how that's with the embodied astrology as well, but also going into our own dirt, like, okay, what is there to acknowledge, to harmonize, to love. I don't know how that is in your journey, how it has supported you to bring those elements of yourself back into alignment of the divine plan you've created.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's what is so important to me, is that embodiment piece. And the astrology field does tend to get pretty heady and pretty into lots of interesting ideas and way out there, which is great. And at the end of the day, we want to have all that those beautiful downloads coming in. And we want, like you say, we want to be able to anchor them. And that's where bringing in the embodiment piece and bringing in the somatic work is so important to me, because that's kind of been like my parallel path, is doing somatic work and body work, and really learning how to work with the nervous system and how to work with this physical vessel that we are in. So when we can bring these insights and downloads down and have the tools to very practically work in our physical system so that we're not spinning out into our patterns constantly, or even if we are, we have tools to bring ourselves back. The integration of these two is the heart of where it's at for me. And that's what this program is all about, is about bringing in both the downloads, the insight, the ability to read these patterns, to decode, as you say, and meeting that and marrying it with the ability to work on a somatic level, both for ourselves and for our clients, to be able to know how to work with what's going on in this physical system when I get triggered. And maybe when all this insight and amazing information, maybe it feels that it takes me out of my body. What do I do then? How do I really bring this in and ground it and land it and move forward on my path on a very practical level? That's where the work comes together for me.
Yeah, I love that. But also like, and also how everything also in your life is coming together. When we are getting initiations, we are getting teachings, we feel things that attract our energy, our attention, for a reason. I love in your story as well, like the challenges you had while growing up, and then the different things that attracted you and how you are now combining, because that's also what I noticed within my own journey. If we only elevate or only are in these higher vibrational states, or we only approve our physical body, or we are the totality of our being, and that is really what we are being called to now step into, where we embrace every part and co-create with every element of us. And so I love that. But it's also for everyone tuning in, like also sometimes holding space for the things that have happened in your life, and holding space for so the things that you find interesting, and maybe not yet knowing how in the future they will all come together. But I love in your story, like the universe has been guiding you. And it's not per se that in every crossroad it was clear, but there was a guidance. And now, but I think that sometimes we can find ourselves in these moments where we think, why am I doing all these different things? And why is this? But it's really, the universe is working in our favor. And when we can truly understand that, even when challenges are there, or even when we get triggered, there is a beautiful initiation happening that invites us to deeper remember, and even more come in alignment with our path. And I think do you also notice that when you do these astrology readings, and because you also really support people in reading their own astrology charts, and I think that's beautiful. But do you also see like how it comes into alignment of their greater purpose, of their
Oh, absolutely. And that's one of the biggest things I love about astrology, is how quickly we can see bigger purpose themes and life path themes. That tends to be one of the first places I find myself going in charts, probably because of who's coming to me, and they're individuals who are on a path that are here to live their soul's work. So that's what they're really asking beneath all of the other questions, is how can I be in alignment with my soul's path? How can I more clearly know and live out what I'm here for? And that's one of the things I love most about astrology, is looking at the North Node, looking at the pieces that show us the underlying threads, the journey of what you came in here for, and underneath it all, what's it all about?
Yes. Yes. And how it changed, because that is why I haven't yet. I find it very interesting, but somehow when you say North Node and all of that, somehow my brain doesn't remember all these things. But I think it's beautiful that you're also really teaching people to read them themselves, because like when planets shift, or when things happen in the future, like it's also interesting how that influences. Like, do you use it for yourself as well as like a daily tool,
every day,
monthly tool, or is it really? I get that it's something you dive into and you say, okay, this is happening, or
totally. And you're exactly right. It's so helpful, and going back to that clarity that we started off talking about, and be able to get like, okay, I'm in this weird sort of funk or whatever we might call it, or what is going on, or why is this, feeling the way it is, or something isn't quite working. And then you look at your chart and you get the bigger picture of the patterns.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is the nature of the challenge. This is the energy I'm leaning into and learning that might feel different or scary because it's just new. And when I see that and when I get it, I can lean into that experience and into that energy or that emotion with a different kind of clarity and safety and trust, because it's okay to be feeling what I'm feeling. I mean, that's another underlying heart of it all too, that we want to know, like, is this okay? Am I okay? Is what I'm feeling okay? And of course the answer is yes, but when we get the specifics of here's what's up, here's what you're going through, and the trajectory you're on, and what's on the other side, and this is sounding a little vague as I describe it, but hopefully it's clear enough. When we get the sense of that, then we can lean into it without tripping ourselves up and second guessing and spiraling and doing all the things.
But it's also again, like our human selves, our brain likes clarity, likes to understand why things happen, so it can be compassionate and loving. And in an ideal world, we don't need that validation of understand, like we can really be in that trust, but we are not there yet. And it's also being compassionate with that. We need sometimes these, okay, I'm going through this, but I know it's for a greater purpose, or I'm going through this and I'm not doing something wrong, and there's just something in my chart being activated that is activating it, and it's holding myself with compassion instead of judgment. Or so I think it's also a beautiful way to bring your system back to ease, and then we can flow through it instead of resisting. Because otherwise, when we feel energy rising and we can't understand and we can't grasp it, we start to resist it, and that creates even more momentum, and then we go in the direction we do not want. And I think, and then especially in the combination you offered, like it's opening up. It's like, okay, I can be compassionate with myself, my brain understands, and now I can bring my body back to ease. And we need that, because we are all together pioneering a new earth. We are really anchoring new vibrations here on earth, and that is scary, and that is inviting us to go beyond what we as a collective have done before. And then there are these beautiful tools that can help us, because otherwise we fall into the old traps of, okay, I'm doing something wrong again, or I don't want these emotions, or what is happening. But you are pioneering. And that's what in all these things, like it's really holding yourself with love and compassion, because we are breaking all these, like, for the flower of love, it's like within the inner garden, we are now really taking out these deep roots where our past we didn't want to go to. Sometimes even our family lineages have pushed these deep roots away, sometimes even collective systems, past lifetimes, and we are now ready to witness them, to love them, to see them.
Yes.
And why not have these beautiful tools to compassionately, like also in that, the old system thinks, no, you need to work hard, it's just going through it. No, it needs softness, it needs awareness, it needs acknowledgement. And I feel already so much energy releasing, but that is beautiful, because it's really like, how can we support our system? How can we support our being human, our beautiful mind that likes to understand? And even in ancient times, they used astrology for so many things, for like they looked at the stars. And it's not something of this time, and it's not something of only in a magazine that you see, like, okay, what is my next week going to be like? No, it goes so much deeper. And so I get the excitement and the possibilities, and so it's beautiful. And how do you bring it into your own life? So what are really practical ways in how you use it, or how you...
Well, I love just looking at my own chart, like you were saying, and looking at what's going on right now. And basically, we can look at, well, what aspects are hitting my chart right now? What specific transits are happening that are affecting me? And there's going to be a story here. There's going to be a story of, here is the type of experience that's going on and why, and here's here's where it's going. For example, to go back to, we mentioned the North Node briefly, which your North and South Node describes kind of the underlying trajectory of your life path and where you're headed, what your soul really came into this life for. And the South Node describes basically what you came in with and what you're releasing and the gifts you bring and things like this. So when there are transits to the North and South Node, that's going to indicate, okay, something's going on with my life path. Something's going on. There might be a turning point here. There might be a shift that I'm being asked to make. And we can even look at the nature of that shift by looking at the houses and the planets that are involved, which again are going to tell a whole story of what am I being asked to release? Where am I being asked to look in a new direction? Where am I, just up against a challenge that feels like a really strong, maybe stuck place right now, but here's the energy patterns that are involved. And when I get that, I can feel that this is just a challenging moment I'm in. And like you said, have a bit more insight to understand it and ground it so I stop fighting it.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is really just that ability to get that connection, and very quickly is what's cool about it. Like you can look at a chart once you know how to read charts and just instantly go, Mars is in a square with my Pluto. That's a really strong energy that's going to feel really intense right now. And there's going to be a lot of physical stuff going on. I'm doing a very kind of short, brief version of this, but there's also an enormous transformation that's happening. Pluto is about very deep transformation that changes who you are. So I'm not going to be scared of anything physically that's going on right now. I'm going to get curious about how is this actually transforming me on a very deep level. What's underneath here? What's underneath this? If it's Mars in a square, there's probably either some kind of physical challenge happening, or it could also have to do with like actual stuff happening to you in your environment. But there's an energy beneath it. There's like a texture beneath it. Once you get to know the different planets and what they hold and present, you can recognize it and feel, oh yeah, this is Mars energy in a square with Pluto right now. Okay, what's the deeper story here? What can I lean into, breathe through? What might I need to be aware of? Where do I need to let go? Where do I need to push through? Sometimes there is a need to just keep going through something. And we can get the feel and the texture and the nature of what is up by seeing this story, and it just makes it so much easier to sink into the trust as we're moving through each day.
But I love, as you shared, like it's stepping out of fear into curiosity. In a way, even back to wonder, like the childlike wonder. Totally. It is stepping out of victimhood and stepping into empowerment. It is almost taking yourself out of the humanness and just for a moment zooming out and seeing, okay, this is the greater picture. This is like, as you shared, there really was this clear visual. Like it's really taking yourself out of like, oh, I'm in the density and so much is happening and it's all overcoming me and I'm overwhelmed and stressed and my physical body is doing all kinds of stepping out of it and seeing, okay, this is what is happening. How can I have more compassion? How can I have more what is being asked of me from the greater perspective? So it's really like it's shifting perspectives almost and becoming curious. So I love it's almost being in the wonder, being in the questioning, but questioning opens up our field to possibilities, to instead of us feeling limited and caught by even forces that go beyond the physicality. Because if certain planetary elements or stars are shifting, that influence, it's like just as simple, if you don't know a lot of this, but like the full moon, it has an influence on the sea levels, it has an influence on water, and we contain for 70% of water, so it influences us, and that's why with full moons there are more babies born and all of that. But the same is with planetary systems, and when you get to understand, like this showed me the greater picture, when you get to understand how all these elements influence you, you can suddenly feel like, okay, yes, maybe this is not my day. Then I will just nourish myself with a beautiful cup of tea, and tomorrow is a new day. But it creates the opening to seeing something from higher perspectives. And and just in general, like, as we almost come to a place of completion, and you can maybe share a little bit about the offering, but what is for the next couple of months? We are now in September 2023 when you are listening to this, but what are for the next couple of weeks or months? I don't know if there's a theme that, and I get for everyone it's different in charts, but in the shifts in astrology, like, what is the message that you have been getting the last?
Oh my goodness, how much time do we have?
Yeah, I get that. A lot, yeah. Is there one where you think like this is an important thing that has been popping up the last, that is really significant for?
I'm going to say that I don't have a single one that I can do in in a minute. I wish I wish I did.
Yes, I get that. No, totally. But you do, like, I see on YouTube as well, beautiful with the full moon and with some planetary shifts you share where they are for and how they can influence you. And because you're starting your embodied astrology 5D living, you're starting it in October.
Yes.
So people can still sign up if they want to join. I don't know if you can explain a little bit about the program or the offering, or.
Sure. Yeah, we're starting first week in October, and people can join up until then. And basically we will be bringing together the learning to read astrology charts with somatic work. You mentioned zooming out, and it made me think when you said that there's zooming out to see the big picture, and then there's zooming in, which is the somatic work to really know how to connect in each moment and be able to integrate and move forward. So that's what we're up to. And should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I get. And how long are you, like, how long is the journey, or?
The actual training will be 2.5 months. We'll run from beginning of October through mid-December, but then there's another 12 months of monthly calls to integrate and put it into practice and learn to read deeper.
Yeah, because I get when you start reading that, it's also with new things. There's one thing to understand with the mind, but if we start to practice, like, if we really want to understand, it's the deepening. It's okay, now something new opens up in my chart. I haven't seen it, and so that's beautiful. Yeah,
there's a lot of layers, and I don't like simplifying things that require depth and nuance. So we want to give the space and time to really learn how to read and put it into practice and read actual charts and understand all the different pieces and how they play together and what the big picture is. So
and that's important, because as you shared as well, like, if you read it wrong and you put that as your, like, it's the same with having a wrong diagnosis, and suddenly your whole system starts to react in that way. So it's good to, like, some things really need to be learned in detail and really understand also with the mind, like, what it does and what it means for different planets and charts to come together. So I think that's beautiful, because otherwise it's like, okay, because when I still see my chart, I think, okay, I see some beautiful symbols, but for me the understanding is not yet there. So it's beautiful. It takes time, but it's also fun to just, like, you are in a way decoding your own codes. You are becoming curious about your path, and so it's not per se something very distant. It's really you getting to know yourself. And
exactly,
I think that's beautiful. So I will add the link to join below. So if you are listening to this or watching it under the video or the audio, you will find the link. And if you are tuning into this on a later moment, just check out Rachel's website, because she will be offering, I think, this more and more over, so you can tune in to whatever way is aligned in the time frame you are watching it. So if there's one message you would like to give to people as a closing word, what would it be, or sentence, or?
Oh, just thank you so much for joining us today and allowing us to share and allowing us to all share together, and just sending lots of love for all of the depths and expansiveness and beautifulness that we contain.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you. So thank you, Rachel, for sharing this sacred conversation. And thank you for tuning in. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next Soul Love podcast. So for now, much love. Bye. Thank you for joining this episode of Soul Love. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can find it below. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.